What's up, pop-up camper community? Hope you are doing well. Hope you're getting out, enjoying the outdoors right now. As I'm filming, it's just the beginning of June, and so as I'm on Facebook, I'm seeing people get on their pop-ups and post pictures and buy pop-ups, and man, I love it. I love watching this community. A lot of great people, a lot of ways to get connected. A couple quick shout outs. If you're looking for people to follow, one of the people you can follow is It's Poppin'. A guy, and I think his wife, or a guy and a gal, they're doing it together. Man, they do an awesome job. Very informative. I've watched almost all of his stuff. He's got some cool swag and gear as well, so make sure to check him out. It's Poppin'. These videos are top of the line, very informative, very humble guy, and just does a very good job of helping the pop-up camper community. You can tell he enjoys it, so check them out. Also, if you're looking for kind of family-friendly, a couple that really is informative with family and pack list and just things to think through with food and practical stuff, check out Adventures in Pop-Up. I've been following them for a while and connected with them a little bit on YouTube. And so make sure to check out Adventures in Pop-Up. Then if you're more of a podcast person and you want to do some of that, RV Atlas. It's a couple out on the East Coast. I started listening to them a couple years ago. They are so good. They go beyond just pop-up campers. But if you just want some informative information, they do a great job of giving just helpful tips. So just a couple things to think about as you are trying to get more informed and learn. I assume that's why you're watching this right now. So we just got back from the coast. We're here in the Northwest and we were right on the beach. It was beautiful, well, some of it. And so I'm making a little video, just some tips and tricks about boondocking, about going when you don't have any hookups, no electric, no showers, and just want to give you some tips that we learned along the way. So we went on the Pacific Northwest coast. It was lots of work and we had a lot of fun. I've got young kids, and so it's not really a vacation per se, but we have a lot of great memories that we make together. We had rain, we had wind, and we had sun. We had everything in this trip. And so it was a great one to kind of gather some information. One thing that I see people asking about is kind of how much work is pop-up camping? And here's my personal thought at this point. Pop-up camping is just as much work as tent camping. So if you're gonna get a pop-up camper, don't think you're gonna save on a lot of work, because setting it up and pulling things out and all that, it's a lot of work. But I will say this, you're gonna sleep better than tent camping. You can actually stand up and be comfortable and walk around. You can store stuff, kitchen supplies, things like that. I've already got stuff I'll show you in a minute that we're gonna be storing for our next trip coming up in a couple weeks. You are protected from the elements way better than I think than in a tent. And then you're gonna keep dry. You're off the ground. I mean, that's huge in and of itself. We did have some water, when it was heavier rain, we had some water some precipitation kind of on the bed ends in the morning, and I just wiped it off, but nothing dripped down, even though it rained pretty hard and was windy one of the nights, especially on the last night before we came home. So at this campsite, we did have a bathroom. Okay, there was no shower. There was water at the bathroom, but not at our campsite. And there were no hookups, no electric. So this was one of the trips we went on. We just said, hey, let's just give it a try. So here's a couple tips. I'm gonna jump right into it. Number one, we had two 15-gallon propane tanks strapped on the front of our tongue. I'll show you what it looks like. And so that was if we needed heat, if we needed the fire for our propane fire pit, if we needed for the stove. I want to have the big boys. I don't want the small ones. And then on Amazon, I bought a connector that goes from your propane tank to the Coleman stove, or to the Mr. Buddy heater, or to whatever connection you need that uses that smaller connection. And that was awesome. So I don't have to buy those small Coleman propane tanks, you know what I'm talking about, that are just a ripoff. So that would be number one, is get the propane tanks full. I would do one or two. Two is probably overkill, but it was nice to have it. Also, we've got a water tank, which I'm sure you have as well if you have a pop-up camper, and so filling that up so we could use the water. Make sure you've got a bucket that can drain the water when it comes through as you're using it. So that was helpful. Also, we borrowed from my sister and brother-in-law, shout out to them if they watch this video, a Mr. Buddy propane heater. We didn't end up using it, but just to have it in case we needed to start heating it up in the afternoon. If you're using that, make sure it's well ventilated at night. There's mixed reviews on whether to use it. We ended up not using it, but we had it just in case. Also, I've mentioned this before, I think in some of the videos, pop-up canopy. Get one, spend the $100, spend whatever it takes. So when we got to the campsite, it was raining. And we actually what we set up right away was actually the pop-up canopy before we even set up the pop-up camper, because we needed to take the bikes out and take the stuff out of our car, and we needed it to be in a dry place on the bench. And so we did that right away. So buy a pop-up canopy. Even when it got windy, we brought it down a little bit, staked it down, it was fine. Make sure to go out and purchase one of those. Also, it's a little more expensive, but a Berkey water filter. Look it up online. My wife convinced us to buy this a couple years ago, and it is gold. I mean, it's one of the best filters on the market. And so when we went to the bathroom, we filled up that water, let it sit in the filter. It's great drinking water after that. We use it at home as well. And so it's expensive, but if you're gonna do off-grid camping or you want something that's gonna filter water instead of buying a bunch of water bottles, you can buy something like the Berkey water filter. Unfortunately, I could not figure out how to get my battery. I've got a battery on board that I've been charging, trickle charged it over winter, got a new fuse connector so that it was charging when it was plugged in, and I could not get my battery to work. But I bought some LED light bulbs, which I'm gonna install in there. I have some different lights that we use, ended up working out fine. So do you need lights in your camper? I don't know, we didn't really need them, but as far as the overhead lights, but it's probably something good to get figured out if you can. I mentioned this briefly, but I've said this before, you need to buy a propane fire pit, portable propane fire pit. We bought ours from Cabela, nice portable one. It's gold. We use it at home, we use it camping. I even did a real fire one of the nights, and then one of the mornings, my son and I were out, and I was like, man, let's just turn on the fire pit. We turned it right on like that, and it keeps warm, and it's one of the smaller ones, just because it's easier to take with us, but man, that has been a great investment for us. Also, we bought a Coleman 2-burner stove, kind of the classic, that works great for us. I know there's a lot of different stoves in the market that works great for us, so make sure you got a good stove. And then we also bought a charger pack. I actually bought it from a place called O'Reilly's out in our area. It's an auto store. It's got a car battery charger on it, air compressor, USB charger. It's got a light on it just for emergencies. Love having that charged. Just in case we need it. A couple other things, just because there wasn't a shower, we brought baby wipes. So one of the nights my feet were up, my wife was like, your feet stink. So I brought out the baby wipes, washed those suckers off, and it helped a little bit, right? So have something if you're gonna go off grid or you're not gonna have showers to clean off. Also, always bring lots of towels. I don't mean just dish towels, I mean like full-size bath towels. Beach towels. I can't tell you how many times we use the towels to wash off the boys from going to the sand, or to wipe off from something getting wet, or to clean up something. And so bring lots of towels. You'll never have enough. Also, a little hack that we did this time, we did not actually bring a cooler. We actually have a fridge in our camper. Obviously it wasn't hooked up because there are no hookups. So what we did is we took some water bottles, put them in the freezer, froze those water bottles. In the morning when we loaded the food in the fridge before we took the pop-up camper down, we put those frozen water bottles in the fridge, and then they kept everything really cold. None of our food went bad. And what's cool is as they melt, then you just use them as water. And so you've got water on the trip as well. So a nice little hack. I hope you use that. And then also canned prepackaged food. All right. We try to get as much fresh food as possible, but when we're camping, we try to make it easy. So canned soup. My wife bought some milk that doesn't need to be canned. And so the boys can have milk for their cereal, our baby can have some milk. So you're not having to refrigerate stuff. So think through, especially if you've got young kids like we do, as simple as possible. We also wish we would have bought more disposable forks, knives, plates. I know some people like to be more environmentally friendly. We do as well, but when we're camping, man, it is trying to get that food somewhere and trying to wipe it off and trying to take care of all that. It just can become a hassle. Also, where we were, there were bears. And so we could not leave food out. We were nervous about that. And so in the future, we would have bought more just plates and disposable stuff to just toss out when we were done. All right. My next video, I'm hoping to put out in a couple weeks. We're going somewhere a little warmer, and so I've got some tricks like a portable AC unit that we're gonna try out and see how that works. And so it's gonna go from the coast to the eastern part of where I'm at, and it's a lot hotter over there, hopefully. So hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna give you a quick little tour of our pop-up camper. If you've seen my other videos, you've seen this sucker. This is our, what I love is this is our one of our garages that we're able to put the pop-up in, and we get to actually put it up about 3/4 of the way, so I can actually work on it. As you can see, it's dry. So we came back and it had gotten wet. So we pop up the bed ends, let them lay out, make sure they get dry. You really want to make sure your pop-up camper stays dry, okay? You do not want it to get wet. Here's the front of the pop-up camper, and you can see where I put these propane tanks right here. Make sure to strap those down for safety. You can also see my battery right there. You can also see these blocks that I can either use to stabilize or to ride up on if I want to level it from side to side. Also a little hack, a little trick that I've learned, I don't know who I learned it from, but was put a level right on the tongue jack. And so you can tape that down and you got a nice little level. And so when you get in the campsite, that's one of the first things you want to do is make sure your pop-up camper is level. Also, when you have the pop-up camper inside, what I like to do in this season is kind of keep it about 3/4 of the way up. And then you'll see a bunch of stuff that either, like this was our French press that we cleaned out, but I didn't want to pull everything out and put it all back. And so we just started piling stuff on. This is also a nice little trash can that's a collapsible trash can. What other stuff do we got going here? My wife's also super creative in some of the stuff. We've got some of these strainers that go flat, which is kind of cool. We've got a cast iron brush. We like cast iron when we're going camping. Ooh, here's another one. I also got some of these. I just took a bunch of pieces of wood and put just some smaller pieces that are flat, because I found that when I put my braces down, there's usually like a little bit of a spot where it doesn't go all the way down, my braces, because they have little hooks as you're extending them down. I hope that makes sense. And so just wanted to have a little more options as I'm trying to brace and balance the pop-up camper. Oh, here's the cast iron. So isn't that cool? It's a cast iron. It's got a lid, and it's also you can take the lid off, and that's a skillet. And then on this other side is actually, you can do soup. So kind of cool little stuff. So again, we're learning along the way. We really enjoy pop-up camping, and it's an adventure. It's, as I said before, it's a lot of work, especially if you've got young kids. I don't know anyone out there who says it's easy, but man, it's worth it to get out there. I'll throw some pictures of our recent trips so you can see some of the beauty of what we experienced. But hope you get out there. Hope you go pop-up camping, and happy camping. We'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching.